Well, good evening and welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. And, we're still no further ahead on the manager front, are we? We don't know who it's going to be, do we? One of the potential managers was managing England tonight, and he did a good job, actually, didn't he, in the end? Tonight we're going to talk about potential managers. We're going to talk about a bit more about the forum, because Chris hasn't had a say on that. He'd like to have a say on that. And, basically, it could be a quick one tonight, because there's not a lot to talk about, really. We're sort of just waiting for the new manager, aren't we? Well, I'm joined by Vicky, of course, one of the team. Evening, Vicky.
Evening, Claudio. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. And Chris Baker, of course, who's a regular guest. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, thank you, Claudio. Thank you very much for having me again, mate.
That's all right. Hopefully Ken will come back on. He's having trouble. If anybody's really good on the internet and knows why he's getting the buzzing noise from his house, we'd like to know. It's either that or someone's doing the hoovering next door or something. Anyway, so where do we start? I'll tell you what, let's just talk a little bit about England, because obviously the game just happened. And I watched it. I thought I'll give it a view. And, it wasn't too bad in the end. He's done a pretty good job, really, considering he had to get 2 results and he's turned it round in the last 2 games. Sounds very confident when he gives his interview at the end of the match. Would you take Lee Carsley, Vicky?
I wouldn't be against him. He's one of the ones of the people mentioned that I'd prefer over some of the others. I mean, he's probably not my first choice, but yeah, if it was him, I'd be relatively happy with that. I think he's shown things during his tenure at England that I think would make him a better candidate than some for the job here.
Yeah, what about you, Chris? Did you watch the England game? Obviously, you watched it. What did you make of the game?
I had it on, I watched it. And I've got to be honest, if I had to assess Carsley's 6 games in charge, no, it'd be a hard no from me. I do not want him anywhere near Coventry. I think some fans are getting lost in the fact that he used to play for us, and they're getting lost in that sentiment again. We need to move forward from Robins, not backwards. And I think Carsley would be very much backwards from Robins.
Right. Well, looking ahead then, I mean, the names that have come up, and I'll read some comments out in just a second. You've got Carsley, obviously Ruud Van Nistelrooy, David Moyes, Bloomfield, the guy at Wycombe's been mentioned, Edwards. Anybody else I need to add to the list we can talk about?
You forgot Lampard.
Oh, yeah. I didn't forget about him, but...
Oh, yeah. No. Forgetting about his wishful thinking. I know.
He's that far down my list, you see. Right. So, okay, let's go through them. I mean, Vicky's obviously given her views on Carsley. You're not keen on Carsley, are you, Chris, by the sounds of things?
Not at all.
I can't remember. Someone asked the other day... Sorry, Claudia, I was just going to say, someone asked the other day on a Facebook forum about his experience outside of England, so I had a bit of a look at what he'd done, because a lot of these sort of managers, they're sort of there and you sort of forget about what they've done. And the reason why I wouldn't be too adverse to him is that he's doing quite a lot of roles that are sort of the way that we're set up now. So the way that Doug King wants to run the club with like the sort of coaching setup and head coach, that's a lot of his experience. So of some of the people mentioned, it just seems like he would be someone that could slot into that system better than some. So it's not something. I mean, for me, it's nothing to do with the fact he used to play for us or anything like that. That's not. But I just think of the people mentioned, he is one of the people that could fit into the system that Doug obviously wants. That's why. I mean, for me, Ruud's really the sort of dream one. But
the fact he said at the forum, it could be that Rhys Carr could be in charge for Sheffield United and beyond.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, does that mean they're waiting to speak to Carsley then? Because that seems like, if they're to bring somebody in straight away, they've actually cut their options down to talk to him. For me, a Carsley appointment would be a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's groundbreaking, but you're right. Yeah. It does fit in with what they want, that sort of head coach type character. But I didn't see too much in the... I mean, Ian Wright was raving about, he brought in young players and all that. But until that penalty tonight, I couldn't see England scoring. It looked like one of those games, didn't it? So I don't know. 7 for me.
Yeah, I'd go about 7 as well, I think.
We're going for 7. I'm jotting these down. Chris, out of 10.
So, well, out of 10 for me, Carsley would be about a 5 at best.
Okay.
But I think my point with this is, given what's happened, given the uproar about Robins sacking, the way it happened, the anger that was there, you're pointing the follow-on from Robins here, it needs to be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Point, and he needs to knock it out of the park here, because whoever he gets in now, if it doesn't work, King might as well pack up and leave the football club as well, because the fans are already angry with him because of what's happened with Robins. If he gets this wrong and it ends up adversely affecting the club, i.e. relegation, he's not going to be able to walk the streets of Cov. It could be that bad. So,
let's lighten the mood. Let's have a go at a quiz, shall we, before we carry on? King can't walk the streets of Coventry, blimey. Ken's done a quiz here, and luckily, Chris knows the answers. He's just as well.
Okay.
I won't shout him out.
If I can find them. There's 2 players. He's got 2 pictures up. Bear with me. Here we go. Here's number 1. You got pen and paper, Vicky? You might have to write down the answers. Sorry about this. So here's number 1. Can I just say, decent player. And number 2, this fella.
Average player.
Yeah.
Oh, that's annoying. What was his name?
So number 1, number 2. Try and guess them both together. It's easier then when you're trying to work out if you got it right or wrong. Also, before we go any further, we've got this on Tuesday night at the Racing Club Warwick. I shall be there. Meet the players, Ben Sheaf, Jamie Allen, Rob Gurney presenting. That'll be interesting with Ben, club captain and all that. Should be very interesting, actually. No doubt he may be asked a couple of questions that may make him feel a bit uneasy, hopefully not. And Bedworth has got Rodoni and Binks, but that's members only because they've got so many members, they can't fit anybody else in now at the minute. I'll just read a couple of comments before we go any further. I'll try and keep on top of this, boys and girls. Miles he come back from Jamaica. I've had a phone call from him on Thursday, whooping and all sorts because he's going on a stag do. So he's probably not surfaced. I don't even know where he is now. So he must be somewhere. So GLB Boxing says, even all, for me it would be rude. Would be rude not to. I like that. I like what you did there. Adam Thomas, I wanted Moyes from the start. He's won a European trophy, but the prospect of Ruud really excites me primarily because of the calibre of players he'll attract. David Granigan, yes, thank you very much. We are doing well, and good evening to you, Paul Cuttiford. Even though I'm still angry and upset with DK, I'm reading it like points of view. Shall I do it like that? Even though I'm still angry and upset with DK, I'm very worried about one man running the show with advice from who knows who, and to think he'll end up with a second-rate manager, head coach. I don't want to be Miles sat in front of him against Sheffield United. Going to be raging. Ian Courts reckons Ruud as well. We can afford Ruud or go for a cheap option. Dave Brannigan reckons that Cars is going back to the 21s apparently. Monkey. Hi guys, it's Dan Plowman here. Has to be RVN. For me, huge commercial opportunity for the club, will attract good stamp player to the club. Not Lee Carsley for me. I want a passionate lad on the sideline. Paul Hughes, Carsley not for me. Ruud would be my pick. Frank Wood, I don't think Carsley wants a City job. He's happy with the under-21s. Carsley's not. I'll tell you what, it doesn't sound like Carsley's going to be welcomed if he does get the job reading all these comments. Mark, imagine if it was put to the fans' vote, a bit like the kit that I got hanging up behind me all those years ago.
A bit like, was it the Texas sub that they tried to bring in way back when? Yeah.
Isn't it bonkers? We're seriously linked with names like Van Nistelrooy, Carsley and Lampard, the manager before Robins was the inept Russell Slade and a lower league perpetual failure. Let's hope Ken comes on, he's not buzzing. Oh, tell you what.
Good evening.
Ken!
No, buzzing.
No, I'll tell you why. I'm on my phone. That's why. I've had to transfer it all to my phone. So
okay.
I've just tried it another way, so I'm on my phone now. So
there's obviously some electrical interference somewhere.
I'm not quite what's going on because I've tried my iPad, I tried my laptop, and they both failed. So third time lucky.
I'll just ask Vicky and Chris then. Did you watch the England game? And we just voted on Carsley out of 10 if we'd have him as a manager. So you've probably not heard what we said. So,
no.
Right. Views on Carsley, would you welcome him as our manager?
Yes. I think so because I'll tell you why. Because I think he would suit Doug. I'm thinking what Doug King's eyes. I think Doug King will suit Carsley because I think he won't bring any people with him. He'll work with what we've got there, the squad that we've got, and he's the sort of coach we're sort of looking to, I think, to work with the players. And he'll know a lot of contacts with the youngsters, maybe possible loans, stuff like that. So it could benefit us in the long term. But I'd certainly prefer him than Lampard.
So, we're going to get to him. I forgot to even put him on the list. So, out of 10, then, what do you reckon?
Whether we'll get the job?
No, if you were going to mark him out of 10 for the job, what would you give him for the job?
I'll give him an 8.
Oh, give him an 8. Okay, so that's I'll just.
What did you give? What did you give him?
Me and Vicky 7 and Chris 5. He said if Doug King gets it wrong, he won't be able to walk the streets of Cov.
No, he's got to get it right. You're right. Chris is right. He's got to get it right. No, but I just think with the options that are available, I just think he's a better option than Lampard is, certainly.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
I've got to say, Ken, the quality on your phone is far better than your laptop.
How is it?
Ridiculous.
Well, maybe I should stick to my phone every week then.
Oh, just need a massive phone. Right, Chris, here's your chance then, because you wanted to say something about the forum, your views on it, and what did you make of it?
I felt he spoke well. I think he completely blindsided everyone with his opening. It shocked me because I don't know whether I'd bought into the stuff on the forum and was expecting, a real PR exercise to kind of not really reveal anything. But no, that's not what happened. He literally he almost took everyone's weapons away, everyone's questions away with his opening statement.
But you most definitely did.
Yeah,
without doubt.
Which really shocked me. The revelations about Robbins really shocked me. I will say I am erring on the side of caution because there are two sides to every story. But what I would say, if it was Robbins' decision to get rid of Vivash, for whatever the reason, private life should not come into it. Like, as harsh as this may sound, I almost don't care what's happened in a private setting. They should not have been allowing that to affect the football club. And if they've allowed a situation to affect the football club, and clearly it has by the way the form and the results have gone, then they both shouldn't be at the football club anymore. That's sort of the hardline stance I would have took with it. King clearly has. But what I would say is, King, if he's absolutely misled us in that forum, and he gets found out at any point down the road, then he's going to be in trouble with the fans.
Obviously, issues behind the scenes, that's clear. And it did affect the form because you could see that after the semi-final. It wasn't right. We've said it for a while. There was something not quite right behind the scenes. Yeah. And we put it all down to all the changes, but it maybe was because the pair of them fell out. And King has asked Mark Robbins to sort it, and he didn't do it as he wanted it, basically. And that's what I think he just ran out of patience.
Yeah. The thing that really shocked me the most, because a lot of the forums, and I was under the belief that this was a change of setup in the way that King wanted the football club to be run. Yeah. But no, according to King, the coaches was very much a Robbins decision and how that was being done. To the point, some of his comments, for me, leads me to believe that not all those coaches are safe when the new man comes in. King seemed very much open to the new man bringing his own men in with him. So,
to be honest, the two guys were promoted from the academy. Both teams, by the way, are bottom of the league, I think, which is something else I've been going on about how our academy is not producing anybody. And we need, if we want to generate cash, big cash, we need to start creating Madisons of the world, don't we? And I'm trying to think his name, Wilson, the guy who went to
Wilson.
Yeah.
These are the players you need to create to sell on, basically.
The ones that are going to create pure profit.
Exactly, because we're not doing that when we're signing players for $4 million. So I feel like, did he tell the truth? He probably did. Did he tell the whole story? He probably didn't. I would say, because sorry, Chris. It's like you say. I didn't really need to know too much about what happened. He just had to say they fell out, and but I think he went in. I mean, he didn't say exactly what happened, but it felt like that's the only thing he didn't say. And it must have been something big for him to want him to leave the club. That's all I'm saying. So something must have happened, for him want him to leave the club. So that's all I can. And really, do we need to know? I'm not bothered.
We don't need to know. I
think we just got to move on now, haven't we?
Yeah. I think for me, part of that conference for King, I think once he got any stride with his opening statement, I think he felt he went too far. You could almost see it when he was explaining why Robbins and Vivash had fallen out, and he made the comment about someone's wife. He did not elaborate whose wife it was, but he mentioned the falling out with someone's wife. And you could almost see and hear, whether you listen on the radio or watching it on a stream, you could almost see the moment where he's thinking, crap, I've said too much, I've gone too far, and he's pulled back and he's not mentioned it again for the entire forum, which is right, by the way. We don't need to know that much detail. All we need to know is why is it affecting the football club and how do we get the football club back on a footing. The personal stuff can go away from me. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think he probably didn't use a great analogy when he started talking about divorce and marriages, because it wasn't to do with anything. No women were involved in the argument, put it that way. You know what I mean? I think it wasn't a great analogy, because straight away people jumped on that. Anyway, put that to bed now. It's done and dusted. Let's move on to our next manager I've put down here is Ruud Van Nistelrooy, which for some reason was last week happily managing Man United, although he did beat Leicester twice. So does that count? I mean, we can beat Leicester, can't we, without Ruud? Yeah. But so, Vicky, Ruud Van Nistelrooy, I mean, apart from the obvious reasons, he might look good on the touchline for the ladies, but apart from that... Oh, some are. So what do you think then, Ruud Van Nistelrooy?
That's an exciting one, isn't it? I think from the sort of social media comments, that seems to be one of the ones that's really getting people's attention, I think, and I probably feel the same way, really. Just the sort of prospect of a player of that calibre, I suppose. Like, so we all know about his calibre as a player, and he's got the type of football, because obviously the Dutch like to play some decent football, so that would be hopefully something attractive for us to all watch. So it just, and just the fact that even a player like that would be talked about with our club, if you think about where we were like sort of 7-8 years ago, it's just crazy, the turnaround. So I think that's my favourite at the moment, just because I think it would be something exciting to really get fans to unite behind, and I think that's what we could do with a sort of a appointment that most people can get on board with, to really get the sort of fan base united and behind them. And he's a sort of man that would do that, I think, isn't he?
Ken, what do you think? Ruud?
Well, yeah, as Vicky said, it's very exciting because it certainly bring the publicity that Doug King likes, doesn't he, to be in the limelight. Media-wise, it would certainly put a lot of attention on the club. Yeah. He did well at Man United. He did okay, I think, at
PSV,
PSV as well, didn't he, in Holland? So, I mean, and he'll probably have good contacts as well to bring players in. Should we need, well, we will need them. And obviously, he did say that the new manager would get his backing in January. So, yes, definitely, I'll be in favour of him as well.
Chris, do you fancy Ruud?
I'm on the fence because I feel like a lot of the excitement might be down to his accomplishments as a player and not as a manager. Yes, I understand he did well at PSV, But when people point to what he done at United, he managed for or head coached, however we want to word this. He did it for 4 games. He's been there all season as a second assistant under a regime that's ultimately felt okay at a lot higher standard than what we're performing at. So I will say that. So that would be my only concern. But in terms of his reputation and from what I've heard about the type of coach he is from players, I mean, Alejandro Garnacho come out with a really glowing tribute to him when he departed in terms of how he'd helped him out in such a short time space. When you hear things like that, you think, yeah, it could work. My concern is about his credentials. I think what I'm really hoping for is someone proven at the championship level. And obviously he doesn't tick that box for me. But everything else I would take, yes.
Yeah, well, good point, Sam. Actually, I think it would just lift the profile of the club, somebody like Ruud Van Nistelrooy now, which is what I think Doug King would like commercially, definitely. You'll start to see the top tier fill out a bit more because he wants big corporate in there. He wants big business. And I think somebody like Ruud Van Nistelrooy will bring that as well. And I mean, we all remember him as a player, very talented. Hopefully that can transpire into coaching and,
I think the players would look up to him, wouldn't they? They're definitely
And the thing is, it's a bit like we'll come on to Lampard with the sort of background people he has. It also attracts sort of quite well-known ex-footballers who want to support that man. I don't know who's got behind him at the minute, but no doubt he'll bring in. He's going to have to. I can't believe he'll work with what we've got though. He's going to have to bring in some new faces. He might take one look at our lot and go, "No, I can't work with these. I need my own people."
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we want to be where we want to be, as King likes to say, you're going to have to bring in the people to do it. If he obviously thought Mark Robins can't turn it round, and that's why he sacked him with what we've got. So you've got to look for something better than Mark Robins. So already your benchmark is quite high, I think.
Yeah.
But you're looking at somebody who can get us out of this division. Whether he can, who knows? But I think potentially you got a guy there who will attract players to the club, basically. Yeah. Could do with some more foreigners, couldn't we? You can have as many as you want now. I'm all for it. Never used to be. I love it now.
He'll have some good contacts, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. So that's the exciting thing. But say it's just, I don't know. It's just whether it's gone down to money again in the end, I suppose, isn't it? Is he going to pay top dollar wages for the best possible manager, or is he going to go down the road or cheapest possible?
Well, he's just paid out to a manager and assistant manager 2 years worth of contracts, both of them.
Exactly.
We as fans, when we talk about money in whatever situation, whether it be a transfer fee or compensation to sack a manager, we always seem to lowball the club. And I do wonder how much of that is a hangover to what we're used to from the CCU regime, as opposed to what Doug King is actually capable of doing financially. Because there's no evidence, in my opinion, that Doug King is scraping the barrel financially. He might be trying to be a steward of his money, but that's different.
Here's a comment from Mark. Isn't it bonkers we are seriously linked with names like Van Nistelrooy, Carsley, Lampard? The manager before Robins was an inept Russell Slade, a lower league potential failure, which is the point. Because when we're in the Premier League, we were attracted. We did attract good managers.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I mean, Dave Sexton's you spoke about. I mean, I know we got Bobby Gall from Bristol Rovers at the time, but the likes of Ron Atkinson, we were still a decent club to want to manage.
And I think managers, he did say there's been a lot of applicants, haven't there? High quality applicants. And when we only know them sort of names that have been bandied about, which is them 3 really, the main ones, mainly because of the bookies betting, and that's what we normally go by. They don't very rarely get it wrong, don't they? So unless he's got somebody up his sleeve that we don't know, I'm
going to give a Ruud an 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got slightly distracted because Italy have just conceded against France.
Well, no surprise there, is there?
Yeah, they've already qualified for the quarterfinals of the Nations League, but they're just letting the goal. I mean, they're doing incredibly well. Anyway, Vicky, out of 10 for Ruud.
I'm going to go 9.
9.
Oh, 9.
Chris?
Out of the names that are predominant in the media at the minute, he's the one I probably want the most, so I'm going to go a 9 as well.
Ken?
I'd probably have to agree with everybody there. 9.
Oh, that's 20. Well, it's going to go a long way to beat Ruud. We're going to be disappointed when it's not him, isn't it?
Doug's watching. Don't get Carsley. Don't get Carsley.
Well, that's my second choice.
Says, I can't believe that DK sacked MR without an idea of who would replace him. Crazy.
Can I just respond to that, really? Because I have a theory on this.
Go on, then.
People keep saying, I can't believe he's done it without a plan. But if it comes out that he's been speaking to other managers or head coaches behind Robin's back for weeks, then he's going to get slated for that as well. So that's a no-win comment for me. So,
yeah, I wouldn't say it was spur of the moment, but I think the Derby match just tipped it over the edge. I think he just thought, that's the game we have to win. We should win. Yeah. How can we lose? I think that's what happened in that game. And I think he just, it was, definitely. Aaron Thomas, I agree with Chris about moving forwards from Mark Robins, but there's no candidate who stands out. Van Nistelrooy would get a shock with the calibre of player he would inherit. P. Lowell, Carsley sounds as if he'd work in our setup. Head coach, not a manager who has to work with what he's got. MR, Carsley's almost a perfect fit. He's professional coach. Would it be sexy hire? No, not really. It's interesting to see it. Yeah. Darren Ward, if Ruud came in and did well, he would be gone in the summer to a bigger club.
See, that's my biggest concern. If he does well, he wins loads of games with now near the top of the league, or he gets into playoffs, and somebody else comes calling, is he going to pack his back and say, like, see you later? And
like do a Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, though, Ken, the trouble is now, whoever comes in isn't going to be here for years and years. That's gone now. I mean, there's very little loyalty in football. So I think all we want is someone good that moves us forward. If they then go, if they've took us forward in the time they're here, then that's the bonus, isn't it? If he's doing really well, so someone poaches him, that's because he's doing really well, and we've moved forward again, haven't we? And then we can attract someone like better again. We're just moving forward. So I guess that's the.
So Doug would be looking to sign him along the deal, really. So if you'll get some sort of compensation.
I was just about to say that on the flip side of this, you could say if someone comes in, does really well, and he's headhunted, then we're going to get a hell of a payout from it. So in terms of business, it might look like good business. I do think as well, people need to realise the Robins era, as special as it was, and it really was, that is unusual for this era of football. Managers, especially in leagues below the Premier League, are not spending 7 years at a football club. It was an anomaly. So if anyone's wanting that or expecting that to happen now from the next appointment, they are going to be disappointed eventually, because it's not going to happen now.
So I got this is from Pilo. Ruud and Lampard both in running. DK leaning more towards Lamps due to having relationships with Redknapp family and wanted to keep these good links. Unbelievable. RVN is a proven winner.
Has he got a relationship with the Redknapp family?
I don't know. David Granny.
Lampard, has he got a relationship with the Redknapp family? He's part of the Redknapp family.
No, I'm on about Doug King.
Oh, Doug King. Sorry. I've realised now.
Yeah,
what are you on about?
Maybe he has. We don't know about that. I don't know.
Dave Brannigan, if I'm honest, I'm not keen on any of the managers that have been linked, because none of them really had great careers, so we just have to hope that it works out.
None of them had great careers. Okay. I'm not so sure about
that. This is from Day Sports Photos. Can someone explain the difference between a head coach and a manager?
Well, you can explain that, Claudio, can't you?
Well, a head coach Well, yeah, he's exactly that. He's a head coach over loads of other coaches, whereas in the past you had a manager, an assistant manager, and probably one other coach. And the manager, which is what Mark Robbins did. AD and Dennis Lawrence did a lot of the stuff on the training pitch. That's fact. And Mark oversaw it and did the manager bit of probably shouting and yelling and a bit of this and a bit of that on the touchline and doing the man management stuff, from what I gather. But with a head coach, you're basically in charge of all the other coaches. It's a crazy scenario nowadays, but I'm not sure. But it's just the way people are doing it, aren't they? It's just a new concept.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I never used to think about it, and now I look at all the other teams, and they've all got loads of coaches. Absolutely loads of coaches. So it's not,
It's just that we had a lack of, before we were just used to seeing 2 or 3.
We had no money. We couldn't afford. We just about afforded what we had.
Yeah.
If we'd had another coach, poor old Rich Overson would have to probably pay for it. We just didn't have the money for it. And the background, we didn't have the facilities. Gibbo, RVM for me, it'd bring our club onto the new level, attract better players, and I think you can get the team playing as well. I'd guess he'd be on a basic wage with a huge bonus if we're promoted. Let's keep going. Mark R, he's warming to the idea of Van Nistelrooy and see if he can bring in some new ideas from Europe. Simon Wells
I think you'd certainly get attractive football with Van Nistelrooy, wouldn't you? Attacking, there's no doubt about
goals.
that.
Well, his goal difference at PSV was something like plus 69. So, I mean, I know that league's. I mean, it's a different league, isn't it? But it's still an attractive. It's someone that wants to play attractive football, isn't it?
He wants to score goals.
Paul Hughes, we are not happy with Robbins and the results. He did well up to this level. We need to up the levels now. So this is guess. Lee Beckett's having a guess. I shouldn't have showed that. We'll get the pictures up again in a second.
Number 2 is wrong.
So Wayne Littlewood reckons, good evening all.
Evening, Wayne.
A few numbers a bit low tonight with Chris on.
He tried cracking the same joke last week, but you failed to read it out last week, Claudio.
Realms of Possibility says, I'm hoping to get Rudy just so we can sing a message to you, Rudy. He's got 2 of those already, haven't we? If you got, yes. Ralph Wiggins, 8 out of 10 for me. He has the right attitudes and he would stop loyal to us like Robbins. The others would use us as a stepping stone. To be honest, I think that could happen anyway. I don't think anyone's going to start, Chris says, stay forever. Wayne reckons Carsley would cure insomnia, and Lampard is the equivalent of finding out your wife used to be a man before you married her. Some people don't mind that, Wayne.
2024 now, Wayne.
GLB Boxing, Ken's prison burner phone is working.
Yeah, it's working. I'm allowed out.
Oh, dear.
For now, anyway.
Realms of Possibility, GLB Boxing, but how did he smuggle it in? Don't know, but he hasn't sat down for a week. So, Frank Wood, since Jimmy Hill, we have had far more bad managers than good ones, and now he just sat probably the best of the best. Let's have a look. Busby's back on the upsput. And Chris Foster says, what about Jimmy Thellin? Is the Swedish guy, isn't he? I think is at Aberdeen, but he's only been there 5 minutes. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
early days. I mean,
I don't think he'd be considered. Surely.
I mean, it's a 2-horse race normally, and having one other club in there, it's not like a massive jump, really, is it? I don't know. Have to wait and see.
No.
Have to wait. If it was at the end of this season, he finishes second, and he's pushed Celtic all the way, then he may be considered. Right then, let's go to the next name. I can't hear. This might be a quick one. These are all the names I'm clutching out from social media that people have come up with. First of all, actually, let's get the photo up. Number 1.
Yeah.
These are chosen by Ken. Number 2.
Did you know these, Claudio?
Well, yes, but Chris knew them better than me.
Oh, okay. I did I always try to catch Claudio out, see if I can.
So David Moyes, I've got on my list here.
I don't think so. I think he's more of a manager, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not a coach. He's a bit like an old school manager, I think.
Right. So he's won stuff. He's done well in Europe.
Yeah.
He's won in Europe. Did well with Everton. I mean, when he was at Everton, Everton had a strange existence with Moyes. They'd finish in the top six, bottom six, top six, bottom six. They were up and down, up and down. So, I mean, I'm not too sure. I mean, that's just like somebody to steady the ship, isn't it? That would be. That's almost like a Sam Allardyce appointment, isn't it? Where you ask him to come in to the end of the season just to make sure we don't get relegated.
Yes. Obviously, he won. Did well in Europe with West Ham, but even then, the fans were still moaning about him, weren't they? Even though they won a trophy.
Yeah. So
I think it's the type of football he plays as well. He's not very attractive.
So Mark's out of 10 for Moyes then, Kev?
4.
4, okay, right, we'll move on to Vicky, David Moyes. If he gets introduced to us next Saturday before the game.
I would be adverse to that. I mean, I agree with Ken's point. I'm not sure that he really works for the setup that we've got, because I think he is more your sort of old school manager. But, I mean, he's got experience at a reasonable level of management, doesn't he? I mean, he did it. Getting West Ham to win a European trophy isn't something to be sniffed at, is it? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. So it doesn't feel like the right fit, but I don't think he's so bad that I'd be like distraught if he came in. So maybe I'll have to go 6 actually, because I still want Carsley, and I've given Carsley 7, so it's going to have to be 6 for Moyes to keep him below Carsley.
Chris, does David Moyes float your boat?
Not really. I've got to be honest, if he's in Vale next Saturday, I'm handing my season ticket back. 0 out of 10 for me. I'm not even
0. Oh.
Yeah. Let's be honest. I think we just put it down to this. Like, we had thoughts of Robins not being able to work within the new system, which was apparently his system, which is bizarre. But Moyes has basically just lost his job at West Ham because he couldn't fit in the same type of system that we now have. So I think it would be an absolutely crazy appointment to try and make.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a meh sort of thing about Moyes. If he came in, I think I don't know. It's one of those appointments where you think they're just going to have him for 18 months until they get somebody they really want. But of course, as Doug King says, he's getting advice from all kinds of people, from Premier League owners and people in the background, Freddie in the street, everybody. So who knows? Who knows? But I wouldn't be too keen on David Moyes. It'd be okay, but it's like you're saying, Chris, and what you've all said, it's got to fit into that new model. I'm not sure he really will. Although he did well at Preston, when he was manager there. Did well at Everton and West Ham. But it's I think the fans need something to get excited about to save this season, basically.
The thing is, he's always been sort of safely successful, hasn't he? It's never like someone you get really excited about. So when he did well at Everton and West Ham, it was never like anything to get really excited about. And that's the trouble, isn't it? He just sort of ticks along, and I think that's the sort of appointment it is. You're sort of like, it's very isn't it? Like you said, Claudio, it's not the end of the world, but it's nothing to really get excited about either.
Well, I've gone for a 5, so he's well behind.
Oh, that's pretty low for you. 5.
Yeah, I've gone for a 5. I'll read some more comments out. Got loads here. Oh dear. So I'm just laughing at some of these comments. They're so good. Blimey, there's absolutely loads of comments already.
See, I can't see the comments now. Go on the phone.
You're missing out.
I can't see the comments either, Ken.
I'll go through these comments to try and catch up. So, Mark I, it's interesting comparing the names listed in betting for our job and Cardiff. There's little crossover between the two. Doug Bolam, DK knew what was coming. There was 95% chance that was going to be the opening question. It played into his hands. Christopher Rafael, that's what he said, changed the backroom staff, changed the backroom. Aaron Thomas, Robbins didn't want another number 2 as it would have made him his position feel threatened. That's why I think he promoted within. That was weird that he kept saying nothing came across my desk.
Well, he said, then Doug King said he had some high caliber applicants for the number 2, but none of them, that's what is strange, none of them were acceptable.
It was all a bit weird, wasn't it?
Very strange, yeah.
GLB boxing, Man City keep nicking the best kids from the academy. Cameron De Rossi says Ruud Van would be good. Jason Gamble. I like the sound of a big manager, but I feel we'll only be there for a couple of seasons till he got a good name and he goes higher. Aaron Thomas says, beat Leicester, we couldn't beat Derby. DK needs to send a message to Rudy. That's from Coventry. 100% Kovskin. Ruud's the most exciting choice. Rounds of possibility. I think Ruud would fit the club perfectly. There seems to be a lot of fans for Ruud tonight. Day Sports Photos. Chris, there was no mention of a wife. There was talk of a marriage and divorce, but these were just references to Mark and Eddie's relationship.
There was, but fair enough.
Gavin Collins, people need to remember when it comes to RVN, he won't be lacing up his boots and playing for us. Lampard has more experience, but everyone seems to be jumping on he's a crap manager bandwagon for some reason. Mark Lights, remember we nearly signed him back then for 3.5 million. Shame it never happened. Wayne Littlewood, I like us to go abroad and try and find an unknown. All 3 for me are on the journey and not a good one. I mean, I wouldn't mind an exciting Spanish manager. Why not? Something a bit different.
Someone that no one's heard of.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we do need some new ideas because we also need to have somebody who can come in and give us an identity in terms of how we play throughout the whole club, from the academy all the way up, which is why you supposedly have these massive coaches, and that's what the head coach is meant to do, is find a style of playing. I mean, we haven't got a director of football. That probably should come from above the head coach.
Yeah.
As a club, we've got no real kind of identity, have we, and how we play anymore. So, but you have to play that way throughout the whole club.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to find an exciting way of playing football, I think, because I've got to be honest, I may be unpopular, but it was a bit turgid at times this season, especially at home. It hasn't been a good watch, and I can't believe anybody can say anything other than that, because I don't see too many happy faces leaving the ground at the minute.
Well, there's only been a handful of games that have been exciting.
No, exactly. We tend to play for 10 minutes, don't we? And in those 10 minutes, you win the game, and that's it. Which is great if you did that every game, but we don't. Yeah, so it's Mick Davenport, I don't think King will go with Ruud. The rumours say King thinks Lampard is more experienced. Glenn Walker, RVM would be a massive coup and a statement of intent. His wages must be a big stumbling block. I cannot get on board with Lampard. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because whoever comes in, there's going to be loads of yays and nays, and I'm not really sure. It's a real mix, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
when I came back to the club, we were just desperate for somebody. And then when it was Mark, we thought, okay, because I know he left in a bit of a cloud, but when he was here the first time, he was 50% win record, I think. It was really high. Yeah. So he knew he'd got a decent bloke. And he kind of some of us saw past that and forgave him straight away, basically, because we knew we needed something. And it proved to be the right choice.
Yeah.
Frank Wood, a big name coming here and doing well, is not going to stay with us long. That's a big concern for me. Mark R, re-listening to the forum again, he seemed to be a bit tied up in describing the hunt for assistant head coach to support MR. What had they told candidates if they'd turned him down? It wasn't the top job. That was mixed. Yeah, that's a bit I didn't understand. That they were coming in, but some of the people wanted to be number one and not the system.
Surely they knew they were applying for number two, though, didn't they? You made that clear.
Yeah, but it depends who they are. Maybe they come in and chance it and go, look, I'll come in, and it could be somebody really good. And they go, but I want to be the actual in charge. I don't want to be. I want to be head coach. So I don't know. It's a strange one. Day Sports photos. Claudia, you can't reduce me in Ruud to a sex. I didn't. I just merely pointed out that it would be the lady's choice. Well, there's one on the list. It definitely is. So Cameron De Rossi, while Lampard is proven failure as manager, looks like how many times has he been sacked? But I don't know. Playoffs with Derby, got to the playoff final. I mean, didn't. Yeah, what else can you do at that level apart from get promoted out of the championship? So, Doug Bowen, careful what you wish for, Claudia. Your place on the top tier may be in jeopardy. Tom Baker. It'd be like Ruud Gullit was with Chelsea, raised the profile considerably and quickly, but not stay long. Ruud Gullit he won the FA Cup with Chelsea. He was a dreadful manager, to be honest. I remember Newcastle, absolutely. The first thing he did was when they were playing the derby, didn't they, against Sunderland, he put Duncan Ferguson and Alan Shearer on the bench for a game like that. Just unbelievable, just to make a point, basically. Strange, very strange.
He was a very arrogant guy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I remember that story when, when Chelsea came with the kits with Strachan, and he came marching into the dressing room and told Strachan, "You've got to change kit because we've got our kit." And fair play to Strachan says, "No, mate, we're at home. You change your kit. We're the home team. We're wearing a home kit." He wanted us to change.
Yeah,
not happening. Assassins Unite, as the old joke goes, how do you lose millions by a football club? King has lost and will lose a lot in Coventry City. And Pilol, now they've been linked with the likes of Ruud and Lampard, would a more realistic and arguably more sensible appointment than the likes of Bloomfield or Sellers now be underwhelming? Well, Bloomfield is the next name on my list, would you believe?
Wow.
I'm going to be totally honest. I know absolutely nothing about
nor
this.
do I. I don't think anybody on this panel knows much about him, this guy.
So I believe he was at Colchester. I'm not sure. I didn't do great there from what I gather. And he's gone to Wickham and he's had a decent start to the season. Whereas everyone's slacking Mark Robbins for having a bad start. He's had 15 decent matches. I don't know. I'm not. Well, it's like P. Lol says. I think I would be underwhelmed, actually, because
it'd be a no for me anyway. Definitely.
Yeah, because I'm not keen. I'm not keen at all.
One, I don't think he's got the experience, and he might need a lot of team. Might come good, eventually. But at the moment, as we're talking now, I think Doug King wants. How impatient Doug King is. He wants somebody that can come in and do a job pretty quickly. I don't think he's going to give, wait about a few years for this guy to get his feet under the table, sort of thing. So, and get the experience. So he hasn't got the experience we need, unfortunately. But he may well come good in the future, but not at this time. I'd say definitely no, and it would be a 3 for me.
Oh, 3 for I've given him a 5. It's because I'm going to feel too mean, Vicky.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think, like you said, none of us know a whole lot about him. And the trouble is, like, he's had a decent start with Wickham, but we've not even got to Christmas yet. So, I mean, it's hard to say that's enough experience to really judge anybody, isn't it? And I think, obviously some people are sort of saying, as like Ruud Van Nistelrooy got enough experience and things like that, but at least he's had a full season with PSV. He worked with heading like Holland, and a bit of experience at Man United. So that I mean, in comparison to half a season at Wycombe, that's your difference, isn't it? So I mean, I think I'd have to. I think the other trouble as well is with some of the names mentioned. Unfortunately, it does make it a bit underwhelming as well, doesn't it? Which puts him up against it. But I mean, that's the thing. If we hadn't been speaking about these other people, we might have thought somebody that's doing a decent job and playing some attacking football because they've got a good goal scoring record, haven't they? That might have been quite exciting a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, we've sort of moved forward a bit, haven't we? So yeah, I think probably around about a 4 or 5 for me.
Okay.
I feel a bit mean, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's interested, Italy 0, France 2 now. So
I don't think there's no surprise there, is there? Really?
It's a cracking free kick by Digne. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, great kick. Anyway, so Bloomfield, Chris.
So while the others were talking, I've just been having a little read up on Wikipedia about him because that's how much I needed to.
Good old Wiki.
I wasn't aware enough of it about my own that I needed to look it up. So yeah, for me, it'd be very underwhelming, and I think you'd have to absolutely be off your head if you're sacking Robbins with his record to get him at Bloomfield in. You know, okay, Wycombe have had a good start this season. He's been there since February. He didn't pull up any trees from February to May there. They've had a cracking start this season. There's no guarantee that if Bloomfield didn't come, he stayed at Wycombe, that good start's going to carry on into like next year and the business end of the season. It would be way too much of a risk for me. So I'd say 2 out of 10.
Yeah, and the pressure would be massive, wouldn't it? Because of what he wants, Doug King, because he wants to be in the playoffs. So you're going to tell somebody.
That's what I mean. I don't even think Doug King would go there to even interview him. To be fair.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying that he rates higher than Moyes, though.
I know.
That's a bit worrying.
No.
Because
the bottom line is I don't want either.
So this is a good point, this was raised at the forum. Dave McGee says who's going to be head director if we have a head coach?
Was it answered, Claudio?
No, they said. We just scored. It's 2. Sorry, it's 2-1. They're getting live coverage here. It wasn't. No, because somebody said head of sports and director, wherever it was, and something else, wasn't it? There was 2 things that we haven't got if you got this setup. So it's a bit ham-fisted at the minute, I think. But we haven't quite got it, have we? Right, which is the key, and we do need a sport head of football director, whatever you call it.
Also, I wonder if anybody's took Doug King's offer up of going behind the scenes. To have a look at the performance director. Remember, he offered everybody to come behind the scenes, didn't he?
You know what? Yeah, it's a great attack, isn't it? Because it just shut people up. Because some people go, "Oh no, okay," and I won't bother. But some people should.
Yeah, we might do that ourselves. Just get to know her a bit more. Ask for an interview offer. See what she has to say.
Got MP. Definitely go for RVN. Lots of experience working with the Dutch national team. That's true. I wouldn't mind Carsley, says Daniel Drury. He's done well for England so far, plus he's an ex-player of ours. I know Andy Turner was saying that he wants, when he came back before, he said it's like unfinished business because of the relegation and all that, so he was part of the squad, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, at the time, yeah.
So, he'd definitely be welcome back a bit more than Bellamy would be. Imagine that if Craig, Craig Bellamy and Robert Page as a 1 and 2.
Dear.
Do you imagine that?
Worse.
Mark R. It sounded like DK made his mind up after the first quarter review meeting at the end of October. Derby was the opportunity needed. I think he was brewing. He was brewing since the summer, I think, because he said I didn't break up that great team. He broke that great team. He was obviously happy with the pair of them. He thought they were great working together. So I think he was brilliant.
I think he got on well with AD as well.
Yeah, I think it was just brewing basically, and because of the start we had and the players we'd got in early, supposedly the pre-season, he expected to hit the ground running, and we were there. That Stoke match, it was awful. The first game of the season,
It
was awful. And I know Miles stopped. He saw me outside the ground. And he asked me then, "What do you think?" You can still see the video somewhere. I'm going, We ain't getting the top 6 playing like that. We have to be much better than that. It's obvious. You don't, sometimes you got to take the old blue tinted spectacles off, don't you? Dave McGee, we have 7 or 8 coaches on the bench each game. We need to buy more chairs in the match when we get a head coach. RVN worked with Gus Hiddink and Alex Ferguson for years. That level of experience is invaluable. That is true. That's from MP. This is Matthew Stone. I'm catching up on the conversation. Lee Carsley is a terrific candidate. The work he's done at England youth level could prove very helpful. He's won a trophy and has done well in his top job. Yeah, maybe because we want something a bit different. That we might want somebody like Ruud Van Nistelrooy just to sort of really freshen it up. And it's a bit of a curveball, isn't it? Because it's not somebody we even thought about a week ago when the announcement was made. But I can fully understand that. David Gee, DK has done a lot for our club. He bothered speaking to us last week's forum. We need him. We're more of a Premier League club now. The truth of the matter is, he came in at the right time. We needed somebody to come in and change things because it wasn't. We can't keep doing it on a shoestring. And I know he's got, like he said, he got things wrong and they were just hiccups. But we did need a change. Sisu had to go, really, didn't they? We needed something different. And,
definitely, without a doubt. There was too much animosity with Sisu, weren't there? Too many people
really,
against them.
Okay, Ken. What is he, apart from the sacking, and actually not everybody disagrees with the sacking. That's got to be said. Some people felt it was time for Mark to move on. They may have, me personally, I would have gone, I think I said this, it was like a mutual consent thing. I didn't like the fact he was sacked because it sort of taints, it kind of taints.
When you say sacked to someone, it feels like they've failed, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
And Mark Robins certainly hasn't failed.
No, and that's why it hurts a bit, I think, in that respects. So, he hasn't really done, apart from that, which some people might say is the worst thing he could do, he hasn't done a lot wrong.
No.
Has it? We've sold players and he's reinvested that money. He could have kept it. He could have kept that money. He didn't have to sell it. Oh, yeah, there's somebody in the background here, might cause a bit of fuss here. And going for he looked like he's done to do the motor racing.
Oh.
Shall I bring him in? Hold on a minute. Here he is.
Oh,
he's not back. He's back in the country, everybody.
How are we all?
Where are you?
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, where are you? Secret location?
I'm in the kitchen.
Oh.
Just sorting out my fridge magnets.
What's your let's give me your view on Robins then, Miles. The scenario, and who would you want to replace?
Oh, where do I start? Okay.
You missed all the drama over the last 2 weeks.
Okay, this is how I see it then, right? You ready for this? Right. Right. We knew Mark Robins hasn't been happy all season. We've been saying it on the show. We back him every single week. Twice a week we back him. But we've always said that there's been something wrong behind the scenes. Something isn't quite right. And you could tell the way his interviews were going after games and things like that. Things weren't exactly rosy, were they? They weren't exactly how they were the last couple of years. And I was shocked that he got sacked before the Sunderland game. I thought he might have gone into that and then done the bombshell. But we knew this was coming at some point because the level of performance wasn't up there. But I'm going to stick up for Mark here because I think a lot of players have got a lot to take account for this as well. I think there's a lot of players out there that haven't done what Mark's wanted them to do, and they haven't performed. And I'm disappointed with quite a few players. There's a few players that haven't let him down, but there are a lot of players that have let Mark down, I'm afraid, because we know what level they can play at. We know how good they can play. We've seen it last season in the FA Cup and against Leicester and teams like that, against Leeds. We knew the players can do it, and I think that it's not just down to Robins. I think that a lot of players have let him down, but this was coming. We knew it was coming at some point because what was it? Nine wins in the last 18, is it, at home or something? No, 9 defeats in the last 15 at home or 18 at home. It's it wasn't good enough, especially at home. I mean, who would have thought we would have lost at home as early as we did this season? And it's now 4 defeats, isn't it? So it was coming, but I think a lot of players have got to. I think a lot of players have got to take a lot of this as well, mate. To be honest, I just think it's. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm gutted because we're gonna I'm just listening to the show and I've heard Vicky saying we're gonna end up being this rotating club now with managers, and I can hear your comments, people commenting about, they're going to use managers are going to come in and use it as a stepping stone to move on and things like that. But I think Chris said it that when Mark Robins come the first time around, he used it as a stepping stone to move on, and he did. But then when he came back, it's been very rare to have a manager at a club for over 7 years, and it's been fantastic. It's been an absolute amazing 7.5 years with that man. It's been brilliant as a Cov fan. And I was out last night with a load of Cov fans. There was about 18 of us on this stag do, and 10 of us were Cov fans. And we were in this bar Friday night, and one of them does media work for Coventry City for the BBC. And he was showing us videos from in the press box when he was at Wembley, last year for the semi-final. And you're watching those videos, and you're like, God, this man, and not just Robins, but AD and Dennis brought all that joy to us Cov fans, and we've got to embrace it. And yes, he's gone, but do you know what? That man deserves so much more from the club. He deserves a statue for me. He deserves a statue, definitely, for me. And we were talking about it. Apparently, they're not having a Christmas light switch on in Coventry this year. Someone said, get Mark Robins to switch the lights on.
Can't get a few people up there.
You know what I mean? That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Miles, can you just do something with your sound? Because it's just a bit glitchy.
Okay, can you hear it now? Is it all right now?
No, it just keeps it. I can hear you, but it's still a bit glitchy.
Hold on, man, 2 seconds.
You might have to go in the shed. What, you didn't turn the electric off?
No, 2 seconds. Let me sort it out. Hold on. I'll come back in. Log me out. I'll come back in.
Okay. Wow, that's a very calm Miles, because I had a conversation with Miles during the week and had to hold the phone out here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here. Same as me. Yeah.
So
he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy.
I think, I think his reaction was exactly what everybody else's was, to be honest, when we first heard. So we'll have Lee Beckett. Doug removed armed forces discount. Did he? Oh, not noticed that. Has he?
I don't know. I'm the first time I've heard about it. I know he took the discount away from the staff that work in the shop and stuff, which is a bit shocking, isn't it?
Try that.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Say again, Miles, sorry. Where's he gone? Oh, I think gave into Mark's demands. He got rid of AD, got his coaches, etc. And it didn't work out, so we had to go. We were stagnant. Matt Weir writes some fantastic comments in the actual comments of this show. Matt, if you'd like to come on, please get in touch. I'll keep send him a message. I don't see a problem with a younger manager coming in and using us as a stepping stone. The only way they can do that is if they are successful with us, then we go again.
Yeah.
But I'd like it to be at least a season, not just go after, like in the summer, if you like.
Miles, I'll tell you what, give us marks out of 10 then on these 4 managers we've had so far.
Can you hear me all right now?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah,
that's better.
Okay.
Lee Carsley, out of 10.
Lee Carsley, 5.
Okay. Ruud.
Yeah. 9.
Oh.
I think Ruud's got the job at the moment.
I think Ruud's got the job here. If we're picking the manager, David Moyes.
Now listen, we were talking about this again, and he would be a safe bet. He would be a safe option. So, Vicky, you said it, didn't you? He'd bring a bit of stability, but could he work with the new regime?
I don't think he could.
And could he work with this deck? You know what I mean?
No. No. Absolutely
so,
not.
To be honest,
so that go on.
To be honest, if you can give him 20 out of 10, he's got no chance of passing Ruud Van Nistelrooy on this vote.
No, it'll be a 6.
And the guy from Wickham, Bloomfield.
Nah, have a word with yourself. Come on, seriously.
Exactly.
No, 0, man, 0.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. I can't even believe he was mentioned.
No. Lampard.
We haven't got there yet. So the next one is Rob Edwards, who for some reason I find this odd. He's still the manager at Luton.
Yeah, I don't think Luton will sack him. I think all these rooms. I think they'll stick with him.
The thing is, Ken, he came into it. I mean, Jones did a lot of the work at Luton before Edwards came in.
Yeah.
So Nathan Jones, he's come in. He's got promoted. What he did to Luton, Mark Robins almost did with us. It was the penalty shootout in the end. That's how they got promoted.
Yeah.
Where you look at it. And then he had a rough season in the top flight. A lot of people said, he did pretty well. Ultimately, they got relegated. Didn't matter, really. He got relegated. That would have happened with us, possibly, as well. And then you look at the start of this season, and I always knew they might find it tricky because you're losing Ross Barkley, Townsend, a couple of other players have lost as well, who helped them in that Premier League season.
Yeah.
So, but he's not even been sacked. I can't see why we would want to.
I don't even know why people are even asking about him because, I say, he's still in a job.
Well, he looks downbeaten as it is. You don't want a manager who looks like he just wants to give up football and give him a job when we need a manager who's got to be vibrant.
Yeah,
but Claudio, that's how Mark Robins started to look. He started to look defeated, and I'll tell you right, it was really funny because on the Wednesday I got to watch the second half. I was down at the pool bar and there was a reggae band on, and I managed to get a stream for the second half. Internet wasn't very good, and I've heard everyone say we played quite bad, but I thought the second half we played quite well. Now, was that because I was high on rum and coke or cocktails or something like that? I don't know. Was it the sun that gave me sunstroke to make me think we were playing well, or was it the man singing a load of reggae songs with dreadlocks right down to the floor? I'm not too sure, but I didn't think we played too bad second half. Yeah, and I thought we were going to pull it back, to be fair. I really did think we were going to pull it back to 2-2. But then when, in the evening, I said to Cheryl, I says, can I just check your phone? I just want to have a listen to the interview after the game. And I seen the thumbnail of Mark Robins, and I showed it, and I went, he's a gone man. He's gone. He's finished. He's finished. You could see it. You could see it. He was... That was it. That was the last straw. You knew it. It was one of them. But yeah.
But that's why Edwards is that's why Edwards is a naught for me, because he looks the same at the minute. He needs a break, if anything. Yeah. Whoever comes here has got to get on with it straight away. there's no time.
They've got to hit the ground running.
Exactly. Yeah. They've got to get it going within the first, 2 months. We need to see a turnaround. Is what Doug King will want.
You've got to be seeing it the first game.
Yeah.
And you have, you've got to be seeing it first game. I'll come on to Doug's interview after you've done these managers. Okay. Come on, get on with these managers because I want to watch a celebrity. I'm a celebrity.
Nicky Edwards.
No, really, for the reasons you've said, I think that first of all, he's in a job, so that's one thing. But even if he left Luton, he needs a break, doesn't he? And equally, is he actually an upgrade anyway on Robin? He's not, is he? And so that's so for me, it's not. I mean, I feel bad saying 0 because he's obviously decent enough bloke, decent manager.
Vicky.
Yeah, I really think that's. I think it's a bad move. Like that's not the person to come in now. If he was out of work, he needs a break. I think, and he's not going to come in with the right. So no, I think no. So it's going to be a 0.
And also Edwards was happy to go from Watford to Luton.
Yeah.
So it's got no. Yeah, I don't want him. Chris, is it a 0 for Edwards? Can we move on straight to Lampard?
No. I just think if you put Robbins and Edwards next to each other, Robbins is a by far better manager or coach or whatever you want to label them as. So why would you go for Robbins? So yeah, you can chalk that up to a 0 from me, Claudia. I'm sure you'd be shocked at that one.
Yeah, well, he's out the running then. So then we got Frank Lampard. He's been there from the very start, hasn't he, as the favourite? And he will bring all the commercial side of things. He'll fill that top tier. The whole show busy side of things, it'll all be there. What with Christine, his wife, I'll be sitting in the box, no doubt. I mean, he's done stuff basically, hasn't he? But it's not one for me. I mean, I wouldn't go, oh no, if he signed him, but it wouldn't excite me like Ruud Van Nistelrooy would for some. I don't know why. I just feel that Ruud Van Nistelrooy has got that little bit more that will get bums on seats, I think, as well. And put us, I don't know. It's for me, for Frank Lampard's probably it's a bit like Carsley, 7 for me. Ken,
I'd probably go less than that. I'd go 6.
Oh.
For Lampard, I'm not a great believer in Lampard, but I just don't think. I think he's just got too much baggage with him and stuff. I just don't think. And he want to bring his own people in. I'm sure he will.
Oh, Ashley Cole and Jody Morris, I suppose.
I don't think Doug wants that. He wants somebody that's.
If Ashley Cole comes in, he's playing on the left back, isn't he? Come on. We need one. Vicky? So no, it's 6 for me. Vicky?
No, it's funny, isn't it, Claudia? Like you said, I mean, I don't know why Ruud Van Nistelrooy is so much more exciting than Frank Lampard, but he definitely is for whatever reason that I can't entirely put my finger on. But I mean, it's not for me. I mean, he'd be third choice for me behind Carsley and Ruud Van Nistelrooy, so I'd have to go about 5 or 6. And I think, I don't know, this doesn't feel. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just because like there's a whole new setup. Like football's obviously moved forward again, hasn't it? Like these sort of big coaching setups and stuff. And it feels like we almost need somebody a bit fresher. And Lampard isn't really that. He has. I don't know. He still seems sort of like a bit. I don't know. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, no. So behind. So what did I give Carsley? 7. So it'd have to be a 5 or a 6.
Right, Miles. Tell us what you think, and then go into what you thought about the forum because you've not had a chance to say anything because you were sunning it.
You haven't asked Chris yet.
Oh, I've asked. Oh, Chris. I ain't gay, that's why I'm not asked him.
Yeah. 0. I'm joking. But honestly, for Lampard, I don't understand a lot of the negativity he is getting from the fan base. I think the fan base are getting caught up on his last 2 jobs, which, yes, went badly. He did badly. I'm not sure that's necessarily entirely his fault. I think a lot of that was to do with the situations he was working within. he got Derby to a playoff final in his first season as a manager or head coach, and he lost in the final to a far superior Villa team who were predicted to win the league that year. And then his first year at Chelsea, he got 4th place with a bunch of kids that none of us really knew at the time under a transfer embargo. That's pretty... So I would say that Frank Lampard's track record as a manager or head coach is far better than Lee Carsley's, and it's far better than Ruud Van Nistelrooy's. But everyone's getting caught up on the way his last 2 jobs have ended. I don't think that tells the entire story. You need to go and look at his win records from his jobs to know that he's got something else about him. So for me, I actually wouldn't mind Frank Lampard at the club, and I would welcome his appointment. Him or Van Nistelrooy, I'm joint with. Both for 9 for me.
Both for 9. Ooh.
Oh, fair play. Right there, Chris. Right then, Miles. Lampard and the Forum.
So I agree with everything Chris has just said. He's spot on. He's no Wayne Rooney, is he? He's no, he has had a bit of a track record, and for someone to go and manage at Chelsea under the conditions he had to do it, I think was very, very brave. And to have that opportunity to manage Chelsea it must have been a great honour for him, especially being a fantastic player for them. The only worry for me is that if Lampard comes in and it doesn't work out and we sack him, we're going to end up paying his wage bill for the next 10 years, like we did with Strachan. We're having to pay him off over so many years, and that's my worry with what's going on at the moment. My worry, that is the main worry, that we're going to end up with nothing again. We're going to end up where we were back in the days where we were sacking managers left, right, and centre. Was it 11 managers or 12 managers in 10 years? And we were just constantly churning managers out and out and out, and we were constantly paying them off over the years and years, and then that left no money in the pot for transfers and things like that, and we ended up going down and down and down. And this is my big worry, and I think that yes, maybe Lampard has got Derby to a playoff final, but for me, I don't think he's the man for the job, and that's the reason why. I think if it doesn't work out and he gets the sack, we'll be paying him off for the next 10 years. We can't have that. We can't have that as a club. We've just started spending money on players. We don't want to be spending compensation deals for managers. I just don't want. We can't have it because it will destroy
and their
us.
agents.
And their agents, yeah, exactly. It will destroy us, and we'll end up back down in the doldrums. You can just see it now. You can see it. But I agree with everything Chris has said there. Spot on. But I would give him an 8.
Right. Okay. Well, he comes in second to Ruud, which is no surprise, and then Carsley. So it's a bit like the betting, isn't it? There you go. You see, so maybe the betting people aren't that far out. So, Miles,
what did you give him, Claudio?
I gave him the same as Carsley. I gave him a 7.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it'd be a bad choice at all, but obviously, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, do you? You can't. You have to think of the here and now. That's the trouble, isn't it? It's a tough decision, whoever he picks, and it's a bit of a worry that I'm not sure who's doing the picking. This is the thing, which is with the director of the board of one. This is my only worry.
He's got to get it right. He's got to get this right. If he don't get this right, we were saying over the weekend, if he does not get this right, the fan base will turn and we'll go from 20,000 season tickets to 8,000 again overnight. It will just the bubble will burst.
Well, Miles,
he's got to get this right.
Yeah, to be honest, if he doesn't get it right, he's not going to be able to walk the streets of Coventry, is he?
Again, I should said you're threatening there, Chris.
Well, no, I wouldn't do anything. But
blue can. Is that what you're saying?
Well, look, there's a lot of nasty people. There's a lot of nasty people out there.
It could be Ken. He's got a burner phone that seems to be working.
Ken's done hard time. I'll have you know.
So, Miles, what did you make to the forum then?
What did I make to the forum? let's say from one salesman to another salesman, shall we? And he's probably watching, but nah, don't believe anything he said. Don't believe it. I don't believe that he wants to go. First of all, what's this deck all about? Not a clue. Don't know what it's all about. Right, sick to death of hearing that. He must have said it about 30 times in that interview. It was doing me Sweden. First of all, you don't call a football team a deck of cards. Right, that is one thing that gets fans' backs up. It's just not right. And as for look, there's two sides to every story. We need to hear what Robin said about what's gone on behind the scenes. But for him to say we're going this new route with a head coach, first of all, he's got no head of director of football. So there's no one in there to do that. He's got no assistant to do that. And he wants to bring in a head coach and then an assistant coach. Well, you've got to have those two top ones in place before you have a head coach and then an assistant coach. So for me, don't believe it. Don't believe any of it. The other thing is this about head coaches and things like this going down this route. It's football. Football, we have managers. I know I've been listening to all of you, and you say top teams have coaches, head coaches, and all this malarkey. We aren't a top Premiership team. We are a Championship team, and we've been used to having a manager that's taken everything on and took it on with AD and Dennis and Robbins, and they've sorted the club out. They've got us to where we are now. All this head of football and head coach, and for him to say that they look for an assistant manager for Mark Robbins, but all the candidates they interviewed or whatever, if they interviewed them, that is, wanted the manager's job. Well, why are you interviewing them for starters? And why are they applying for the job if they know it's for an assistant manager? So something doesn't sniff right there for me. Doesn't smell right. It just doesn't sit right for me. Also, he's too hands-on. He's too hands-on now. He's got his office at Brighton. Like he says, "Oh, I'm not sat in my office in London or somewhere. I'm at Brighton," and all this. He's too involved. He's not a football man. He really isn't a football man. And he's bought. Okay, he's got rid of Sisu and everything. We spent money. Got good deals for Hamer. Got good deals for Vic. But for me, he needs to step away. He needs to come away from it. And if he wants this to be successful, he's got to step away. And whoever comes in, he's got to let them run the football side of it. Not him. Not him.
So do you think he needs to do what Sisu did with Dave Boddy then, where in the end they said to Dave Boddy, "You run the football club."
Yeah.
And that's where our fortune started to turn around, definitely. I don't care. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure about it, from previous shows way back. I was never sure about Dave Boddy and the role he had in the club because it was never really clear. We didn't know what was going on half the time. But the more and more I've heard from people who've been in the club, people who are close to Dave Boddy and Dave Boddy himself, when I've spoken to him lots of times now, I just didn't realise how much he turned things around himself with other people, his little team of people at the club.
And it was a little team, wasn't it? Very small team.
Is that what you're saying? Then maybe they need to do the Sisu approach. Maybe that's why we do need a director of football and all the rest of it.
This is what I'm saying. So he wants to do this, right? But he hasn't got anyone in place. Well, we had someone in place. We had Dave Boddy. Yeah. So we had Dave Boddy. His Body's left, and Doug's gone in there thinking he knows it all. Billy, big, thinking he knows how to run a football club. This ain't his rapeseed oil company. This isn't selling advertising or selling his products. This is a football club. This is a football club that has to be run by football people. He's coming with no knowledge of football. He reckons he's having chats with people from the Premier League and all this within the football business. You may be having chats. It doesn't make you an expert in 24 hours because you're picking up the phone to Sir Alex Ferguson. I spoke to Alex Ferguson. I'm an expert now. I know what I'm doing. Or you can't. I think he's too hands-on for me. And what he's been saying, it just doesn't This is the first time I have been negative towards Doug King since he came in. You all know this. You all know I've been on it. I've been on his side. This interview just didn't sound right. Dean Austin didn't sound right either. The two of them, it just didn't sound good. It didn't sound a deck of cards. What is it all about? A deck of cards.
I spoke to you about this earlier. It's just a new way of using words. It happens. It's just a fashionable thing.
It's not though. It's not. It's not. It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
It's just a word though. Don't worry about it. It's just a word.
No, but it's rubbish. Yeah, but it's rubbish. He's trying to mask over everything, right? He's used Mark Robins as an scapegoat, right? Okay, yes, we all knew it was coming at some point, but he's putting the blame on Mark Robins. Doug has to take some of this blame for this because he's too involved and he doesn't know what he's doing.
So he's saying names were coming across his desk. Surely then he should have been stronger and said, look, you're going to have to pick somebody because he obviously got rid of Mark because he thought tactically he wasn't good enough to turn this around. He said that he wanted an elite tactician and he obviously feels Mark Robins wasn't. And he obviously made it pretty clear that Adi Vivash was. That's pretty much what he was saying. He said, if that's the case, he should have really emphasised you need to get somebody now, and that didn't happen. So I think he was possibly annoyed. I mean, I've heard people saying about Taylor, what's his job? Well, he's operations manager. I thought Taylor was coming in to do Dave Boddy's job, but he's not.
That's the impression I got as well.
But he's not.
Surely it'd been better keeping Dave Boddy there because he knows the club.
This is it. This is what we're saying, and it's like, you look at it and you think, you look back at it all, and you're saying that it's not tactical enough. And we've been saying since the start of the season it's like for like with substitutions. So if that's the case, and that he wants to go this route, surely he's got to be looking at head of football straight away, director of football, then your assistant director of football, then your head coach, then your assistant manager. But why are they accepting applications for an assistant manager when they want the head coach? This is what doesn't get me. I don't get it, because you're advertising for an assistant manager. You're not advertising for a head manager. You're not advertising for the manager or head coach. Whichever route you want to take it, Americanized and all this bull that comes out now. Head coach, assistant coach. We're not American football. We're not baseball. We're not basketball. This is English football. English football have managers. And Doug King, for me, in his interview, right, seriously, Doug King has gone right down in my estimate for me.
I was listening to The Rest is Football, which is Lineker, Shearer and Michael Richards. And Michael Richards said a few weeks ago, he described as a low playing midfielder who spreads the ball around. He said, playing in that quarterback position. And I thought, hello? And I rewound it. I thought, hello? And I thought, I know why they're doing this now, because they're basically trying to sell it across the world. And I think in some part of one country, they won't understand what you mean by that. And they've started using Americanisms to describe part of our football, basically. So they kind of understand what's going on for those who don't really follow the game. It was an odd thing to say. I mean, I knew what he meant by calling him a quarterback type of player. I thought, well, that's not even a position on the football pitch.
It's rubbish. It's rubbish. All rubbish.
I'm just going to read out some more comments. Simon Wells, what about Danny Roll, Sheffield Wednesday top young manager?
No, you're right. They're racist.
He might not be though, Miles. Come on.
Doug Bolam, how about a fiery Italian manager, Claudio?
No. It's boring defensive football. Forget that.
Well, we're losing 2-1 to France at the minute. I'm watching it here.
There you go. You see,
Barry Pauly. I now think Lee Carsley may be the best fit, and having played for a club for a few years, may have some sort of vested interest, like MR was and did. Trevor Merriman, agree with Wayne. I'd like someone from abroad, Spain being a good choice. Wayne
that'd
said,
be good.
no one heard of the Sunderland's manager, and look where they are currently. This is from Sean Nugent. Claudio, I did see you having a conversation with Dean Austin on Monday. What was the topic of conversation? Was you confident in him taking us forward?
And what did you say to him, Claudio?
I said, I'm going to say it out here. I said, Dean, will you come on Sky Blue Fans TV? And he said, yes. And he said, contact the club. I'll come on.
Really? Okay.
So we'll see.
We'll see if he sticks to that.
Contacted the club, and I'm going to chase it up.
Yeah.
And I said to him,
we've asked Doug before. We've asked Doug before, and he ain't come on. And I emailed him.
In fairness, he looked at Doug, and then he looked at me and he went, no, I think it might be a good idea. And basically, I just wanted to come on, and because not everybody heard and talk more about recruitment and exactly what goes on behind the scenes, how we follow it through with agents and all the rest of it. But we had a good conversation. It wasn't anything. You can only take things at face value, can't you? What else can you do? You either believe it or you don't. And I mean, his side of his job is totally different. They look for players, and it's down to the manager whether they want them or not. And he made it clear that none of the signings were made without Robbins' say so. And Robbins has said that in the past. He said that last year, where he decided who's coming in. And he did make the point that a couple of players they brought in were players he was excited about, as in Mark Robbins, but then he didn't play them. But one of them was one of your favourite players, Miles. Ayari.
Yeah, no, Ayari, yeah. He's doing all right now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing well.
Well, he started, but it's not like blowing everybody away. But he went to, was it Swansea? He did the same there. He hardly got any games there.
Blackburn,
sorry, went there. He hardly had any games there. So, but we'll see what happens. We've heard it all before. But it'd be good to get somebody on. Mini Phoenix Gaming, the one that I'm fairly sure will not happen is Carsley. The FA have just released a statement saying he's returning to the under 21s. I'll be happy with either RVN or Lampard.
I think if you go with RVN, I think you're going to get a very attacking style of football. We score 4, they score 3. And I think that's probably one thing that the fans want. We want excitement again, don't we? And we know what pace we've got in the team. You look at the goal we scored against QPR, the pace that we broke out with is what it's all about. And we've been dying for that for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've been saying how quick we are, and we've not been using it. It's been slow, passive. It's been playing it across the back, playing it backwards, causing us out, putting ourselves under pressure when we don't need to be. I think that's the one thing about Ruud Van Nistelrooy is that you're going to get exciting football, and you're going to get it.
And I think it'd help Hadji and Sims, become better players.
I'm not worried about Hadji, to be honest. I think we need to offload Hadji. Like, people are going to hate me for that, but I think he's one of the ones. I think he's one of the ones that's let Mark Robbins down, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, him and there's a few, not just him. There's a few.
Yeah. No, there's a load of them, and I'm not going to say all of them, but he's one of them. I think's let Mark Robbins down. Hadji, right? Everyone's going to slate me for that because everyone thinks he's the best player we've got, but he's one of the ones that's let him down.
Can I play devil's advocate here? Because people will say when he scored a stack of goals. So you saying he's not done enough in between the goals?
He's not done enough. Yeah, he's not doing enough in between the goals. He's not.
I agree with you. He hasn't. He goes missing in games, doesn't he?
Yeah, he turned up against Oxford, thought he'd done the job. A week later, he played, didn't even touch the ball hardly, and he got pulled off.
Yeah.
You can't just turn up for one game and think you've done it, and you're going to turn up the next game. It's just going to fall to your feet. I'm sorry, it don't work.
Just don't say Sims because Vicky might fall out with you.
Well, that's another one. I won't say anything about that one, but yeah.
I like him as well, though, to be fair. I think there's a player there. But
from what I heard, though, Wright's going to be out for several weeks. So Sims, Biscuit and Asante have got to really get some goals, basically.
Listen. I'll play Biscuit over Hadji Wright all day long.
But in fairness, it's not the scoring goals is the problem. It's letting them in, isn't it? Because if you stop letting 2 goals in, we'd win more games, wouldn't we? I'll read some more comments because I've got absolutely loads here. This is from Gavin Collins. Carsley would work and a coach with the current squad without expecting new signings. Others mentioned. Lampard RVN would want a better calibre of player. So if DK goes that route, he'll have to put his hand in his pocket in January. He'll have to get in loans, won't he? Daniel Drury, Carsley, not bad. He's done well with England at the minute, and he's one of us, PUSB. Richard Cook. How about something completely different? There's a lot of good female managers.
No.
Okay, then. Are there? No, seriously, are there?
Well,
What do you mean by that? I mean, how can you cannot judge women's football and men's football. I wouldn't say they're different games, but they practically are. It's.
Even in the women's game, a lot of them are men anyway, aren't they? I mean, there's only probably people like Serena or Emma Hayes that you'd consider have got any sort of experience, even in the women's game.
Actually, Vic, I'm going to ask you, being a woman, obviously, there are a lot of men who coach in women's football. I've always been of the thought that really we should let the women coach women's teams. I don't understand why men are involved in the coaching of women's football teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose, is it just because it's catching up, and so it was the men that had done coaching badges, got the experience, and they've just taken that into the women's game, and it's taken a bit of time for maybe women who've played football who are then retiring to then like develop coaching skills, and so this is something that will improve in the next sort of 10, 20 years as women's football progresses.
Yeah, be ex-players, won't it, Vic? It'd be ex-players that come in and they do their coaches badges now while they're playing football. They do all their coaching badges while they're playing now, and they'll come in later on when they've retired. Yeah.
But the problem is, a lot of them, the decent ones who have just retired, they go straight into television.
Yeah.
They don't even get involved, do they? It's just It's really frustrating when the pool of talent isn't that big at the minute. Yeah. It's professional. The women's professional league. It's in its infancy. It was virtually created in the recent years. How we know it now.
Yeah.
I can't believe, to be honest, that we've got Coventry fans out there that have sat there, and we've all said how important it is that Doug King gets his appointment right, and someone sat there and thought, I know. Let's get an unproven female manager in. That's such a great idea, that is. I mean, can we just be logical about this? I mean, I'm sorry, but at some point you've just got to be honest and brutal about it. And I actually agree with the sentiment. Yes, I think there should be more female managers in the female game. I think there should be less male managers in the female game. I absolutely agree with that point. But
I do watch the highlights on Sunday nights after match day too. I do actually watch the highlights, and I've noticed it more and more. I'm thinking there's loads of blokes in the background. I find it really weird.
Listen, guys, I'm going to shoot. I'll see you all later.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Come back sometime.
See you Thursday.
Yeah, see you Thursday.
See you there, Miles.
Well, that was Miles Cadden, who one of the presenters of Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans. You may recognise him. He used to be on here quite often, but since he's been to Jamaica, we've not seen him up again.
No.
Hold on. That was Miles. I thought that was his debut tonight.
I tell you now, that was nothing like the rant I had on the phone. It was a proper rant. But
it was the same with me then, because he had a rant with me as well on the phone.
Yeah, I think he was still in shock, wasn't he? Because he hadn't heard, he hadn't got it off his chest like everybody had, I think. Mick Davenport says Italy are pants now. I don't know. We're in the quarterfinals, ready for the Nations Cup. England go. They're in the B League. What's going on? Anyway, Paul Cuttyford. If we get our players from lower leagues, that would not surprise me if Bloomfield walks in the door. See, Doug King did say, didn't he, that he thought with the team he'd got in place before Vivash left, we're talking, it was at the start of July, that he thought they bought in players with potential that they thought, with a bit of know-how, they could turn it around and make them into top players. So I just think he's very frustrated about what happened in the summer for whatever reason. Darren Ward, we need to look for managers, coaches with Premiership experience. It's that or our aim. Stop looking at Championship and lower league managers. Doug King said he wants a sporting director. This is from Frank Wood to come in and take over on what he's doing now. We definitely do.
Get Dave Body back. Let him do it.
I think he's enjoying just potting around and watching cricket. Obviously in Coventry. Day Sports Photo. Some said on Facebook that O'Neill did well after Wickham, so it's worth giving Bloomfield a go. Well, let's check out the St Mirren manager. He might be the next Alex Ferguson. I'll tell you what, it's not a job I'd want to do now.
No.
It's almost like you kind of wish you'd just Mark had retired or something and make your life.
Shall we have a reminder of the competition?
Yeah, shall I get it up, shall I?
Yeah, go on.
All right, I'll do this, but I'll lose all the messages. I'll have to come back.
I can't do it this end, otherwise
I know you can't. So here's number 1. And here's number 2. Get your guesses in if you haven't already. I don't know if Vicky's trying to find them.
I'm making a note of the one so far.
Thursday. Thursday we can obviously talk about the big game on Saturday and the return of Gustavo Hamer and Callum O'Hare, and no doubt a lovely ripple of a round of applause for them both as they.
I think Hamer will get a round of applause. Yeah, but I don't see O'Hare getting it.
I think we just need to concentrate. Oh, for God's sake, it's 3-1 now to France. Anyway,
they just need to concentrate, Claudio.
Dear. Terrible defending. We've already qualified, you see, so they're just messing about now. Wayne Littlewood reckons the Luton manager is a slight upgrade on MR. He achieved what MR couldn't. However, he looks downbeat and would be a bad mood for us.
I just don't think they'll sack him. I think they'll keep him. I think they'll. Yeah. I know he looks downbeat, but I think they'll stay loyal to him.
They've got enough in their squad to turn that around as well, I think. Dave McGee, with Claudio, we need someone radical who will give us an attacking identity. Steve Epsey, if Lampard gets a job, there'll be no room in boxes for any Z-listers, Claudio. I'm not Z-lister. Do you mind? You're only as good as your last performance. Chris and Lampard's were horrendous, according to Wayne Littlewood. What is attracting me to Van Nistelrooy, says Mark R, is that he's been coaching for over 10 years internationally and domestically, which is true. I didn't realise that. He's just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been
and there's some decent setups as well. Like he'll picked up some experience in some decent setups,
and he'll know a lot of good players out there when he contacts.
Yeah,
I think feels like.
Sorry, Mickey. No, you go.
I was just going to say, it almost feels like somebody that would do what you were saying earlier as well about an identity, because the Dutch are very much on that, aren't they? They've always, you always know, like a sort of Dutch setup, and so that's pretty much how they've grown up with their football. So he feels like the sort of person that would come in and go, right, this would be how we're going to do it, and to give us the identity we're looking for.
We went up. Well, we got to the playoff final because of the 3 at the back, didn't we? We changed it. So then why did we not still play that way? Why did we sign players to play with wingers? We sort of changed it again, didn't we?
Well, we didn't at the start of the season. Afterwards, we kept trying to play the same way, but the players that we signed, i.e. the defence, weren't good enough to play the 3 at the back.
Exactly. So we should have signed players who could. It's weird. So that, to me, that was all wrong. And as fans, we saw that. A lot of fans could see it, saying that certain players can't play the way we want them to play now. Matt Weir, people keep talking about us becoming a merry-go-round for managers, and I'm positive King doesn't want this either. I would be amazed if whoever comes in gets more than a 2-year deal. Yeah, I reckon it'd be 18 months or 2.5 years, the first deal. I don't think he'll fall for it now because it's too much of a payoff, isn't it? He can't afford it.
But then again, if it's Ruud, wouldn't he want to sign him on a long-term contract in case he is successful, and then somebody else comes in he'd have to pay a lot of compensation?
No, I think Ruud will come in on 18 months because it works both ways, doesn't it? If he gets the offer, he can walk away, can't he, in 18 months?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like it is now, like Mark Robins, he couldn't just resign because that would just cost him. It would cost, there's repercussions if you just walk out.
Also, if they come in on a short-term deal to begin with and it is working out, you always have the option to renegotiate during that period. There's no saying you have to wait right up to the end of his contract to renegotiate it.
Yeah, that's true.
After 6 months, you renegotiate at that point for an extension.
Yeah.
This is Alison Berry. This is something that was discussed, actually, which we didn't get around to asking him. I worry with the board of one, what happens to us if anything, God forbid, happens to him. And, it's true.
Well, exactly. I don't know.
Happens. No one knows, do they?
No.
Someone did try to ask that at the forum, but it got waylaid into a different question, and then it never really got answered, which was a shame because I think the point they were making was about the worry about that for us as fans. Is what would be the continuation plan for the club if something happened?
Yeah.
Well, he must have something in place.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, surely.
His brother.
Wilking, maybe, yeah.
Matt Weir says, I think this was the danger with DK being as open as he was. He said we would eventually get a sporting director to take the heat. He also said that Robins didn't present him with anyone as his number 2. Doug Bowman says, I knew Mars wouldn't have anything to say when he came back. Finn, I agree with Miles about DK getting this right. Our gates will 100% go down if he messes this up. Letting Neymar go was a mistake. Now he used to shuffle the pack. Do we go high or low? GLB boxing, deck the halls and the dressing room. Ian Plymouth records, it's just pure poor recruitment. Matt Weir said he didn't say he interviewed anyone that wanted to be number 1. He gave that as a reason he had been given for us not finding anyone. He said deck, not cars, as it's a common term in recruiting. As I said, it's just new. It's like at work, for some reason, we started calling types and colours flavours now.
Just terminology,
We're doing 4 different flavours. So what are you talking about? Colours, aren't they? Oh, yeah. They're flavours now. All types. I'm like, oh, whatever.
I have to be honest. There's a lot more to get annoyed at in that forum than choice of words.
So, Ian Courts, I agree with this one. I don't think we can drag him away from Como, though. It says Fabregas. That would, that'd be a hell of a signing. That would, as a manager. Adrian Elson says, I've supported the club for over 50 years. Correct. Well, this weekend I've done a lot of research on RVN. I think he'll be the perfect fit. Oh. By the way, if anybody's interested, there's a new book out by Steve Phelps, and he's going to come on the show soon. It's the On This Day book. It's been updated, and I've got a copy.
Have you got a copy of it there so you can show us?
No, it's downstairs, isn't it? But here it is. Just imagine I'm old.
Oh, yeah, you're going to plug a book.
No. But he wrote the 29 minutes from Wembley and the 87 Heroes book as well.
Both great books, by
Steve is a top guy, and it's a good Christmas present. What happened on this day? Phoenix, mini Phoenix Gaming. Don't you mean deck of goals, Claudio? Yes. The shout. This is from Jordan Williams. The shout to offload Haji Wright is shocking. He's a player for big moments. What we need. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, he scored too many goals to just offload him.
Yeah, he has, and we all know he can do it. That's the frustrating thing. We know he's a good player, but he just doesn't do it on a consistent level, does he?
Well, I'll tell you what, he looks a lot better since we played him down the middle. I think. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, that's what we bought him as a striker, didn't we?
Yeah.
So as a left winger.
Mandeep Singh, correct. Mandeep's right. 7 goals in a struggling team, 3rd highest in the league. Thank God Miles doesn't get to say in the club affairs.
Sorry.
Matt Weir, the one thing I can't abide with Wright is how he pulls out of challenges. I will back any player in Sky Blue, but he can't duck out 50-50s. I counted 3 at least at Sunderland.
To be fair, though, the one he didn't duck out of, he's ended up on the sidelines for weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think probably that's why he's one of those players that will split a fan base, won't he? Because he's definitely got quality. he definitely is going to, he's up there with the goals and the assists. Like last season, top scorer. This season, no doubt, depending on how long he's out for, top scorer. But there'll be times in games when he just makes the wrong decision, doesn't quite put the right amount of effort in, and it just frustrates people because
she's paused.
He probably wouldn't be playing for us, to be honest, because he's better than that. And that's probably why, at his age, he maybe hasn't. He needs to step on, I think. If you're looking at someone like Vic, who's left and gone to sport and now has been talked about playing for teams like Chelsea, Man United, or whatever, that's because of the effort he's put in to build himself up. And I think that Wright's good enough to do that, but his attitude isn't quite the same, and it's holding him back.
With Vic, he missed just as many chances.
Oh yeah,
and there was times when he wouldn't pass the ball, and he scored. They both scored about the same amount of goals, didn't they?
Yeah.
Why did we always rave about Vic and not Haji Wright?
Oh, I used to get frustrated. I mean, I used to make the same comments about him as I do Wright, really. But his attitude about he would always run. His attitude towards effort was different, I think. So that was the one thing that always carried him through. People will get frustrated about people making the wrong decision, but he would chase stuff down, lost balls, bully defenders. And sometimes Wright just looks like, I can't really be bothered this time, I'm not going to bother. And that's the sort of thing that frustrates people. And I think that's probably the difference between the two.
So, do you reckon Haji Wright would score virtually a goal a game in Portugal?
It's difficult to say. It's a different league, isn't it? I wouldn't say he'd be as good as Vic. No, definitely not. No.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because for us, they've scored about the same amount of goals, haven't they? And if he goes on the same, I mean, he's injured now, poor fella, but on the same trajectory, it'd be matching last season, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I just think Vic's a lot better player than Haji. He is. I mean, obviously, when he first came to us, we all know what he was like. It took a while for him to settle, but now he'll bustle defenders out of the way, and Haji might be able to do that now and again, but he doesn't do it enough, does he?
Can you imagine if when Vic goes at the end of the season to one of the big Prem boys, if Sporting come for Haji Wright as his replacement?
Or maybe
look at Sporting feeder club.
Yeah.
The difference is, Big Vic, I mean, he played for Sweden. He scored after 3 minutes yesterday. So he's doing it in the European...
he's doing it at the very highest level. He's doing it at the Champions League level. Exactly.
Well,
the Champions League the other week, Sporting versus Man City, TNT were literally billing that as Jokeris versus Haaland.
Yeah. That was a good move for him, though, wasn't it? I think that was a good move. It's the sort of league where you can build up some confidence. He started scoring goals regularly, build up some confidence, build up your experience, and there was always a player there, wasn't there? And he just took a good move. You see some players and they leave, and you just think you set your career back there. That was a good move for him, and it's shown because he's just gone on and on. And maybe if he'd gone straight to the Premier League, straight from us, he might not have developed in the same way.
And what's interesting is if he'd have been an alien dropped out from space, and you'd never seen a football match, and that was the first game he ever watched, and you said which one's worth, 200 million, whatever, you wouldn't have said Haaland on that one performance.
No, definitely not. No.
So.
But I also think back to his first 6 months here on loan. I would hazard a guess that probably 90% of the fan base, if they're being honest with themselves, did not want him signed permanently that summer.
Well, I thought, well, why the hell are we getting him back? But now I thought, well, obviously Robbins sees something in him, so we trusted Robbins at the time. But I was
happy. I was excited about that. That signing, I was excited that we were going to get him to commit.
So we're going to have to come off air shortly. We've needed 2 hours. Incredible. How do we do 2 hours and no game? That's ridiculous. But set to step up in Wright's absence. Belgium clearly think highly of him. His movement is great. He just needs the goals. Matt Weir again. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't dream of selling Wright unless a big bid came in, but is he good enough to do everything? But he will only challenge when someone gives him a kick and he gets wound up.
Yeah.
Rounds of Possibility says, I love Haji, or Haji as he's properly known. His style is just sloppy, but absolute goal scorer. Matthew Stone, it's a fair point. Why would speaking to competition be a good thing? They remain a competition. Anyone know if there's any truth in American investor rumours? I'd be more than on board. One, if someone else puts money in, as it is. A board of one is kind of fair, but it's all Doug's money.
Yes. So he makes all the decisions at the end of the day.
Yes. Scott Bradley, we have a brilliant squad. As for what King said the other night, I'm fully behind him. Lampard or Van Nistelrooy. It's interesting how different people interpret the whole thing differently. And what you hear, what you actually hear, when you're listening, it's interesting. I must admit, when I'm there on the night, and I said it was such a whirlwind when it happened. And then when I've listened to it 2 or 3 times now. Well, almost 4 times I've listened to it, and it's different when you listen to it again, and you're more calm, and it's interesting. Ryan Matthews, he says, I remember saying how bad Vic was when he was on loan to us.
Yeah,
how wrong was I?
About that, yeah.
Well, I made a joke because somebody says, "Oh, we've paid $1 million for him," and I was going, "Yeah, we're Cov City. We can spend $1 million now." I was like, "Because, you know what I mean?" Yeah, $1 million, not Jack Wykes. Hopefully, we can get a result against Sheffield. Maybe a chance for Tavares to get game time with Hadji's in. Yeah, Tavares just totally out of the picture.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, a new manager might come in and he might give him a chance. Yeah.
He'd started to do well before his injury at the end of last season as well, which makes his omission this year all the more baffling.
So Thursday night then. Well, firstly, a quick yes or no. Vicky, do you think we'll have a manager in place before the next show on Thursday?
Yes.
Oh, that's Chris.
I'm not so sure we will. No.
Right, Ken.
Yes.
Oh,
I do. How about you?
So I think it is. Yes. If it isn't him, then no. Basically.
Who do you think it is?
Oh.
Sorry, I just thought.
If they get Ruud, then there could be a good chance because he hasn't done anything for a few days, has he? So, but if they don't get him,
he's been interviewed already, apparently, Ruud, hasn't he?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think no still.
No.
I still think no.
No, I think yes. I think you want to get it done ASAP, and it wouldn't surprise me if they make an announcement Tuesday.
The one reason I think they might not do it, not even because they haven't decided who it's going to be, is we've got Sheffield United and Burnley, which is 2 difficult games that we may or may not get results from, and it's going to be 2 of the tougher games that we might not win even with a decent man. Like someone good could come in, and we might not win those games. Will they just get those 2 games out the way so that we've got a better chance of starting on a sort of winning run? I mean, well,
possibly, but I'd say any game in this league is difficult because, as we know, anybody can beat anybody on the day.
Well,
yeah. I'd think Doug would be looking at bringing somebody in ASAP, regardless of who we're playing.
But wouldn't it be just the Cov thing to do now? Is to go not announce a new manager, go beat Sheffield United and Burnley, announce a new manager, then lose the next 3.
Yeah. That would be typical.
That they'll get these 2 games out of the way. They're possibly the 2 most difficult matches you're going to play for a while, and that gives the manager a chance, or head coach, when we play Cardiff at home. That's what I'm thinking. Whether or not that's more winnable, isn't it? So he can get off to a good start. I kind of feel he could come in before the weekend, get battered in the first 2 matches, and nothing. Everyone's going, "Oh, this is terrible. Get Robbins back." That sort of attitude. Yeah. But also, with all the names that have been mentioned, if we sign, Pedro Rodriguez from Alicante FC, I've just made that name up. we were all going, who's he? You know what I mean? So I think it's in that pool of names we've mentioned tonight. I think one of those will be picked out of the hat, picked out the deck, basically. He'll just chuck them up in the air. 52 card drop, whatever you call it, pick up, and then pick somebody out. So we've got the two players, and we'll see if there's anybody got this right then before we sign off for the night. Thank you all for your comments. Obviously, it's very hard to go through all of them, but we do love the comments coming in, and like and subscribe as well if you haven't previously. So, Ken, who is that?
That was a fantastic player for us. Hasn't even got him for a bargain, if you remember. From Walsall, I believe we bought him from, didn't we? Was it Walsall? I think. Scott Dan.
Scott Dan, yeah. This fellow here, I think he went to the World Cup, didn't he?
Yeah, now, Chris, you can tell who that is. Who's that?
I can, because he actually played against England in the World Cup.
Yeah.
2006. And then came to us that summer after the World Cup.
He did.
Wonderful Chris Birchall.
Chris Birchall, yes. Now, the question is, did everybody else get any two right?
Three people got two right.
3 people?
Yeah. Can't remember I think it's Gavin Collins, Samantha.
Samantha who?
All those three all got 2 out of 2.
Sorry, you cut out with Samantha.
Oh, Thornton.
Yeah.
O'Neill, Jakes.
Okay, I'll put numbers by them 3 names. Since Chris is our guest tonight, I'll let you just pick a number 1 to 3, Chris.
Can I not be in it with number 4? No, I'm joking.
Guests are not allowed to
2.
Number 2, Sam Thornton. Okay, so congratulations, Sam. If you get your details, to email your details, your address, and your postcode and your contact number, and we'll get them get a mug, Sky Blue Fans TV mug to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I do love these comments. There's so many comments like some agreeing with Miles and some not about Had You Right. So it shows, doesn't it?
I know where he's coming from with Had You Right. It is so frustrating.
Yeah,
we know he can do it. We know he can do it.
Well, we'll be back on Thursday then, and we'll discussing Sheffield United and the return of Gustavo Hamer. Although he spends so much time in the stands, it's like he's never been away. And Callum O'Hare.
And we might even have a Sheffield United fan, mightn't we, as well?
Yeah, we'll try and get one on. And I've got to say about those 2 lads, they did wonderful stuff for us, and without them, we wouldn't have had so many great wins and matches and.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They brought us some fantastic memories.
So I don't blame them for moving on. You know, you go where the money is nowadays. That's the way it is.
And we don't know the full story behind it all, so we can't come in, can we? So.
Exactly. So I'm not too. I'm not upset that they left at all.
No, I should be applauding them both.
It's just one of those things.
They've done to us. Yeah, I'll be applauding them both. You know,
when you support a football club, I mean, you just expect to sell players and players leave. I don't know anybody. It's not like the 70s or the 60s and 70s where they stay for 10 years.
Yeah,
it's like it's a merry-go-round.
It is, and we're all disappointed they left, but they left for their own the reasons. Is money, and money changes things, doesn't it? As we all know.
Right. All I can say is, Ken, I cannot believe your phone is better than your laptop.
It's lasted. Yeah.
So there's obviously, you need to talk to your internet provider, and it must be called.
I don't know what's happening, but I'll certainly I'll go and sort it out. Yeah, it's definitely
that's the clearest you've been for weeks.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because I like muting you.
You do like pressing that button, yeah. I might try that on you next time.
Yes. Right then, everybody. Well, it's a ta-ra for me. Thank you for watching. And play it with Sky Blues. We'll be back on Thursday, hopefully with a new manager. It could happen.
It could happen at any time.
Yes, play it with Sky Blues.
Good night.
Sky Blue. Sky Blue Fans TV. For the fans, by the fans.